Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Plato and how he relates to, psychology today and the different ways we can see it in modern day psychology or in different theories that we look at today. So first off, Plato was the student of Socrates. He's the one that carried his work on from when Socrates was on the not deathbed, but, awaiting the death penalty. After that, he studied the Pythagoreans and basically he founded what was called the Academy. It was basically the first form of higher education, kind of the first college. And so that's where his legacy started and all this kind of stuff, and where he developed some of these theories. So first off, when we talk about Plato believed in the three levels of the soul, which are the rational, basically the thinking or the truth, the spirited, which is the passion, and the appetitive, which is basically the bodily desires. And these three basically relate to somebody who's more common than we hear about is Freud. And basically Freud doesn't claim to be somebody who based his theories off of Plato. However, you can see these three in Freud's ego, or the id, ego, and superego, and basically they kind of correlate right across. But he says he doesn't base it off them. But that's one of the ways we can see it in the psychology that we know. We're more familiar with. Because we talk about Freud in our introduction to psychology classes, and it's one of those things that's kind of catchy that helps us get hooked into psychology. Another aspect of Freud that you can see Plato in is basically Plato believes that the appetitive self comes out in our dreams. We see that passion, we see that desire in our dreams, the true kind of that desire, that need, that that uncontrollable hunger, so to speak, in our sleep. And basically, Freud believed that that was the id, and we would see that id in our sleep too. And so then another one of those kind of, theories that we see in the earlier, psychology and stuff, and which is very familiar, very popular, is Maslow's hierarchies of needs. And basically, Plato believed in that self-actualization of that higher level of self, where we have all those things met and we can become the best of our best. And so that's one of those ways that we can see that in, modern day psychology, or basically fun psychology today. And so on to another one is basically Plato had the theory of form, where everything is manifested from basically a pure form or idea, and that exists in the abstract. So we have this idea, and that idea is in our head, and then when we see it, it's in the abstract of the world. And to me, that's kind of like modern day hypothesis, gather data, and then either confirm the hypothesis or fail to confirm the hypothesis. So our that idea, that manifesting, is our hypothesis. We have this idea that's going to work, really well. And then the abstract is basically the data, where we look at the data to see whether our idea was either, confirmed or it was failed to confirmed. And so then on to the next one for me is, I think this one's kind of really cool, is basically the allegory of caves that Plato came, I want to say Pluto so many times, but it's Plato. The allegory of the cave. Basically, there's these slaves in the cave, and there's fire behind them, which depict their reality, and that's all they know. And so one day, this theoretically, this prisoner goes up into the real world and basically sees what the real world's like, and kind of is like, wow, this is crazy, yada yada yada. And then basically he goes back down into the cave and tries to explain this to the other slaves. And it's really hard for him to convince these other slaves that this isn't the actual reality that they live in. They live in a cave. And so I relate that to abnormal psychology. Basically, people are coming up with theories for mental illness, all those different kind of things in mental health. And we see that pushback. It's like, hey, no, this is what causes depression. These are the things that lead up to different forms of anxiety in this, the field of abnormal psychology. And then you have the pushback from people who it's like, maybe that's not the case, and so I just think that that's that idea of a slave trying to convince another slave this is the actual, meaning. And so, those are my big theories that I saw on Plato and how they relate to, modern day psychology. And one thing about Plato is he wanted us all to be happy. And that was one of his main things, that all humans could, strive to be the best and be happy. That's all I got. My references will be in the description of the video. Thanks for watching.